Good evening everyone, welcome to episode 6 of How Is That Guy a WCS Driver? We are at Suzuka International Racing Course, GT Challenge Series as normal in the roof track. I'm looking to try and make up for the awful week that I had last week really. First at running in a GT Challenge at Spa, just racing the video was quite poor. I did one after that, it wasn't much better either, put it into the wall. And then at the weekend as well we had round 3 of the World Championship Series, and again just didn't manage to qualify unfortunately. Just sort of bottled my actual qualifying laps, but then actually looking at the times, I'd have needed to have beaten my PB by half a tenth to have gotten on the grid anyway, so I didn't feel quite so bad about fluffing it at least. So yeah, it was a little bit of a decidedly average week last week, so looking to make amends here at Suzuka. I just did my qualifying just a few minutes ago and I was quite fortunate just to latch onto the back of Tamase, who you can see ahead of us in third in qualifying, and he towed me all the way around, so I'm perhaps a little bit out of position really for the grid here. 5th place. It's Friday evening. I missed my slot on the Thursday, I wasn't able to do my normal run. We're off already. Missed the start well and truly there, so I think fortunately car behind is not any better. Alright, turn 1. Okay, well at least we haven't lost out to him too much really, we're right back with him again pretty much, so yeah, I could feel the leader backing up, just wasn't really paying attention I guess, was I? Do love Suzuka like most people, it's a real challenge, especially in this GT car. Felt so different going from this to the F1 car. Probably the most different I've found switching on any track so far. Interlagos a couple of weeks ago felt pretty similar. A little bit of oversteer, turning in, just stayed on the brake a bit too long as we turned into Degna 2 there.
Left side. Clear.
Alright, so let's try and get on the back of Paolo. We've just had a average half to the lap there really. Spoon was pretty good, made up a little bit of time, gained on Paolo Martins ahead and made up a bit of time on Peter Smith behind, who was alongside me a second ago at the hairpin, so we've gotten away a bit now. 3:130R, a lot more of a challenge in this than it is in the F1 car of course. Okay, so not too bad for first lap in a space, especially considering I missed the start. Got a nice gap now actually to the cars behind. I think they must have just struggled in the hairpin there. 2 seconds back now as the leaders are squabbling ahead. Right, down a couple of gears for turn 1. One more for turn 2. And then going through the S-curves. Just balancing the throttle all the way through these really. 3rd gear now through the rest of these. And then in a minute, Dunlop curve is going to be the tricky one especially. I think everyone's been struggling with oversteer coming through here, so you just got to be patient, just wait, and then could have got on the power a little bit earlier. I didn't go track out that wide, but it's just so easy to just have it get away from you a little bit through there. So the better Degna 2 this time. That was a bit more like it. Alright, so pretty much up with Paolo now, who is in 5th position. And it looks like the leaders are stringing out a little bit apart from the next one's up. Yeah, so it's Mario Bertolotti who's really scampered away. Ivo Howler then is in a little bit of space on his own, and it's Thomas and Saba who are really nose to tail there. Oh, I just missed the apex really of 130R. Ooh, don't bounce back off the wall. Okay, that was rather fortunate for me and for Paolo there. Alright, let's try and get into Paolo's toe. He stays tight to the pit wall.
On your right.
So, just want to make sure it all stays just clean and tidy.
Clear.
Cool. Lovely, alright, that was nice and straightforward. Alright, all of a sudden we're up to 4th. Just a little bit too quick through the beginning of the S's there. Really didn't quite have a line that I was aiming for. And again, just ever so delicate through the first half of Dunlop. That was a better exit on that one, really. So, braked a little bit too late for Degner 1, too early for Degner 2, never mind. Into the hairpin. So, feeling fairly confident so far. Car feels good. I haven't really done many laps with race fuel, but we're feeling okay and pretty stable for now. I was a bit too wide in the middle of the spoon there. If you get out on that exit curb at halfway around spoon, then you really struggle to keep your line. Paolo's got a good run of me now as I head towards 130R. Let's hit the apex this time. Really, really early turn in. Just about hang on to the track on the outside. Just about managed to get it slowed down for the chicane as well, bouncing over the exit curb, but we survive and we pull a decent bit of time from Paolo. So going to be a laps car, that'll be next up once we get towards the S's, I think.
Good job, man. Don't change your line. They're gonna move.
Ooh, just a bit too early getting on the power there. It was just going to push me out over that exit curb. Just about avoided getting an off track and Degner 2 there. Alright, and then a little bit of tow here from Kevin. Laps car will help me a little bit, hopefully, to keep a gap from Paolo. Okay, so spoon wasn't too bad that time, just made the slightest of touches of the grass on the entry and you could just feel the car move around slightly under braking, but didn't cause us too much of a problem. Early apex again. Oh, just a bit too wide. Ooh, don't want to be doing that through 130R. And the back marker gets out of the way. Thank you. Whew. So, yeah, that exit curbs here at Suzuka are pretty treacherous in these cars, 130R and Spoon especially. Yeah, I need to make sure I don't push out quite so wide again next time. Ooh, power sliding all the way out of turn 2 there. Dunlop curve was quite untidy that time, but didn't really lose any time, it seemed. Definitely an off track that time. So, yeah, just struggling a little bit through the Degners so far. So the lead two cars now just a couple of seconds apart. So Mario and Ivo. I thought Mario was really scampering away initially, but Ivo is perhaps just holding on to him. And then Saber is just 3 seconds further down the road. Here's the next car up. Make that 3.2. And then behind Paolo, we've got a 3-second gap back to 6th still. So I think really, goal for the racers stay in this position really. If we can hold this, then I think that's a pretty decent result really. And so looks like then Ivo, who was in second, must have had a bit of an issue from 1:30 hour, I think. Perhaps, I wonder if he got a slowdown penalty. I wonder if he just cut the apex a bit too much. I was saying about that early apex. So now him and Saber are nose to tail as they get to turn 1. Saber just holds on to it for now. So if those two can be squabbling away for a few laps, then that might even give me and Paolo an opportunity to just claw our way onto the back of him. And if we can get in their tow, then as I know from qualifying, that could really gain you quite a bit of lap time, half a second at least I would think, based on qualifying. And Paolo had a little bit of a tough S's I think on that lap, so we've got a bit of breathing space to him now. Just braking a touch early I think for Degner 2 really, which means I'm turning in just a little bit early. So a few cars in my mirrors from 6th and back aren't dropping away at all, so we do need to stay on it. I think the top 10 at least all in this sort of vicinity really. Just a little bit early on the power that time. I had to just wait until I could really get on it properly. And that's allowed Paolo right back up again after me gaining a good bit of time in the first half of a lap. Ooh, yeah, there we go, slow down penalty. So that's what happened to Ivo on lap before. We just about managed to clear it at the chicane, so that worked out alright. But that was a bit annoying, so we just saw it happen to Ivo the previous lap. Alright, so we're going to make the same move again that we did on Paolo before. We're not quite as far ahead this time, but Paolo lets me go again. Alright, let's concentrate, let's try and nail a couple of laps, make sure we don't make any more silly mistakes. And then cars in the mirrors going out into the gravel through the S's, so I think that top 10 battle has split apart a little bit maybe. Still not hitting Degner 2 as I want really. So yeah, that slowdown penalty could have cost me a lot more really, so we were quite lucky to not even lose too much time to the couple ahead as Paolo runs a bit wide through Spoon there, but didn't really cost him too much time to be fair, just an off track. Yeah, so we've only lost a second and a half or so actually to the cars ahead as they've been still battling, so let's make sure we judge this properly this time. Needed to be on a bit earlier on the power really, as Paolo has yet another off track in the mirrors. Just barely hit the apex for the first part of the chicane there. So don't forget there is an instant limit for all of these off tracks that we're seeing in my mirrors, and well, what I'm getting as well. So 17 is a cut off. Off tracks, well, should be alright. It's mainly from car contacts that they're going to build up. 4 times for a car contact, 2 times for a contact with a wall or loss of control. And now things are much more relaxed as Paolo just had a big oversteer moment, I think. Just being off a throttle going out of turn 1 into turn 2, and he's gone now. So just need to concentrate on seeing if we can hang on to the coattails a little bit of those second and third positions ahead of us, and if there is an instant then perhaps we can be there to grab it. Definitely do not want to fuck it up and end up dropping back from this 4th position now that we've sort of settled into it a little bit. 3 seconds to the car behind. Hairpin wasn't particularly good that time. So yeah, we've got 5 seconds now to Ivo Howler in 3rd position. I see a name in 7th position that I recognise from our GP260 days of Paul A. Nelson. That was a long time ago now we did that. A little bit early on the brakes that time. Ooh, just didn't quite catch the inside curb right on the second half of the chicane there. Had to really just wait until the car has settled before I could get on the power. Lost me half a second or so really. Well, maybe not quite that much. Cars ahead are of course quicker than me anyway really, so they were gaining time regardless. Overcooked it into turn 1 slightly there, but managed to hang on to it. And again a bit too quick into the first part of the S's really as well, but yeah, as each corner flows into the other, it just means you lose time all the way up if you didn't get the line how you wanted initially, but I got it back okay. Just balance this throttle again and Dunlop. Oh, car just pushing out to the exit curb. They don't really want to get to that curb on the outside because it's very easy just to get drawn out, and if you touch the grass really, you're done there on the exit of Dunlop. Still just not getting Degner 2 as we want. Should have been an off track there, quite fortunate really. So yeah, we're a bit in no man's land now really, so the cars ahead are building up to 6 seconds and more in front of us, so we're really going to have to rely on them making errors to see them again really, and the cars behind are just dropping back a little bit as well, so it's just going to be hopefully in terms of me not going backwards, just me on my own now. Half-hour race this is, by the way, so we've got 12 minutes left, so we're more than halfway already. That was a better 130R that time. Down into 2nd gear for the chicane. Just overcooked it slightly, but we get there. Right, let's have a proper run through an entire lap, shall we? So, Suzuka. Down the front straight. It's close to the grass on the left as we come into turn 1. Completely flat as you first turn into turn 1. And then down 2 gears, just balancing the throttle and the brakes slightly as you feel the car just oversteer slightly as it slows. 4th gear initially for this first part of the S's here, down into 3rd. Better line this time, didn't overcook it too much, just balance the throttle again, try and stay close to that curb. and again it just each corner feeds into the next. And then Dunlop curve again, just got to wait and be patient. I want to get on the power so much earlier than I am, otherwise it's just going to spin out from underneath me and end up in the wall. Degner 1, just down 1 gear, clip the curb. Degner 2, 1 more. Let's get this right a bit more this time. It was okay. I had a little extra dab on the brake to try and get it turning a bit more. It seemed to help slightly. Hairpin, down 2 gears into second. A tiny bit slow on the entry, but I don't think we really lost anything. And then completely flat now, all through this long right-hander until we get to Spoon Curve. Cars ahead have gained another second on me just in this lap already. Spoon Curve, down 2. 3rd gear, just balance the throttle again, run out to the curb, but I don't really want to get on it. Just about hanging on to the edge of the track, and just had to wait until I could really get on the power on the exit again. Over it was pushing me out over that exit curb, so just needed to have waited a touch longer, and then I could have gotten harder and more consistent and on the power. 130R, a bit of a lift on the approach, and then on the power. Yeah, it was a bit cautious through there that time. Hard on the brakes for the Casio triangle, down into second. That was a little bit early on the brake that time, but we are okay. And then that, as he has a bit of a power slide out the triangle, is a lap of Suzuka in the roof. 2-minute lap for someone like myself. The leaders, Mario's got to be doing 158, so I think. What were the times in the F1 car? 130? No, 128s, 129s. So, you know, more than 30 seconds quicker in an F1 car around here. So, yeah, from my point of view now, it should be, I'm hoping for quite an uneventful rest of the race, just a matter of hot lapping and trying not to get any unnecessary incidents, try not to let my safety rating get too much of a hit. And just try and get some reasonable points. We started off the season in the GT Challenge banging in fairly consistently a few 200-point races, but last sort of month or so, I guess, we've been struggling quite a bit more. So, ooh, spinning car up ahead. Is that going to be a back marker, or no? It's Ivo again. So he wouldn't have got damaged, I don't think. It doesn't look like he went out as far as the wall, but he's now only 2 seconds away. Just going to be out of reach to get a tow, I think. But yeah, it's twice now that Ivo's had a bit of an issue so far. But fortunately for him, it's only cost him 1 position so far. I love the figure 8 aspect to this track, though. I don't know if the audio would have picked it up then, but you could hear the cars flying past on the other, or flying below us, and the first half of the track as they go through Degner 2. That made me jump slightly as I heard the whistle of the car go past. Anyway, so yeah, so we got Ivo to try and hang with again a little bit. It's always good to have the car properly in view, at least give you something to chase, something to work on. And so unless he's got damage, he's going to start pulling away from me for a good second a lap or so. And I think he did get the damage, because now he's in the wall. If he didn't before, he absolutely does now. So 3rd spot, up into 3rd position. Just balance this throttle again through Dunlop as I could feel it trying to get away from me. So I mean, you can see how tricky this track is. It's so easy just to have these little moments, whether it's on exit curbs or just oversteer through the S's or through Spoon, for instance. But be interesting to see what the strength of field is when we come out of this, what the points are going to be like. Yeah, it's fairly early in the evening, really. 5 o'clock race here, so that's 4 o'clock GMT iRacing time. So yeah, probably not the biggest of points that we're going to see. Well, definitely won't be the biggest points that we'll see, but okay, that would have been quite fucking annoying if I'd have binned it there, but we got on off track, and I'll take that from where we started off there. That could have ended up being a lot worse. Yeah, a bit of concentration. I have found in recent weeks, I think, so the last month or so, just my concentration isn't as good as perhaps it was at the beginning of the season. And that's something that I've historically struggled with in iRacing, and for a long time my iRating just floated around 2,500 just from me not being able to complete a race without having incidents. But kind of clicked 6 months ago or so, maybe a little bit longer than that now, and so it just feels like perhaps it's drifted off a little bit the last month or so. So we've got to just keep putting in the effort. I know I'm not going to be quick enough to match, you know, the aliens like the 2 cars up ahead, but if we can at least just get consistent races, and you can certainly pick up some good scraps and some good points as a result. Again, just Dunlop is the corner, particularly on this circuit, that I'm most wary of at the minute. Whether it's just a setup or the car in general, I think it's more inclined to think it's the car rather than anything specifically wrong with the setup that Clive Lawrence has very kindly worked on and provided for me. Clive really has done most of the work, if not all of it, on the setups that I've been using in the GT Challenger series this season. It's really the one area that I just don't really have any comprehension of, unfortunately. I kind of, for the most part, I get... Let's make sure the spoon's okay this time. There we go. For the most part, I understand what the different adjustments should do, but my problem is often is that if I'm trying to do sort of back-to-back testing, unless it's a really obvious change like brake bias, for instance, I'm pretty happy on feeling where I want that. Other stuff, suspension and dampers and that side of things, I really struggle to actually feel whether a change I've made is better or not, and therefore I just don't really end up getting anywhere with setups, and maybe just don't have the patience for it. It's even the same in the World Championship Series. I mean, I'm not able to set up a car myself in the F1, unfortunately, so I have to rely pretty much solely on Alex Simpson doing all of the work to get a base setup for the team, really, and then, yeah, Lasse Bryn Hansen and Anton Higlin will have their own little tweaks that they'll make to that, and I may prefer one of those, but for the most part I just have to rely on Alex in the F1 and Clive here for the GT Challenge to give me a setup that I can work with. Very fortunate to be in this team from the ground floor, really, and have access to that sort of stuff. But guys, in this series especially, the amount of participation there is, there's loads of setups, of course, on the iRacing forums as well, so there's plenty out there for people to use. But yeah, I'm certainly fortunate that I don't have to worry about it too much myself. So second position, Saba there, stopped on the left. So he presumably hit the wall, what, maybe coming out of Degner 2 or something like that. Maybe I didn't quite see when he started closing me on the relative screen. But now we're up into second position with Mario Bertolotti pretty much 20 seconds ahead, and Paul A. Nelson, he's made up a couple of spots. He was 7th when I last looked, and with those retirements and now gaining a spot himself, he is into 3rd. So yeah, second position now. Let's have a quick look at how much time we got left. 2 minutes, so 2 more laps. So I just want to absolutely make sure now that I don't blow this decent first race, although it's been pretty quiet and not a huge amount to watch, I'm sure, for the second half. It's just been nice to get a couple of clean races under my belt again, and maybe just build that confidence a little bit more, and be able to push on after that. This is, I can't remember if I said earlier on, but this is my first race of the week here at Suzuka. I these videos normally, pretty much every time maybe, have been my first race of the week each time. I don't want to sort of pick and choose which video I'm going to put up, so first one is it. Right, let's get Degner 2 properly. Get a bit of curb. Not too bad. Bit more like it through Degner 2 now. So, yeah, so we've seen all three cars that I've been vaguely around from the start have all had incidents now, haven't they? So Paolo, who just let it run widely because we fucked it up completely, busy yapping. So again, we'll take on off track, but it's not really what we want. Again, we want a bit of safety rating gain, and we're up to 4 incidents now. Yeah, so yeah, Paolo, who was behind, having his moment at turn 1. Ivo having his slowdown here at 130R, same as I did, and then presumably having damage before really when I saw his instant. And then not quite sure what happened to, say, Saba, but I'm guessing perhaps he hit a wall at the end of Degner 2, exit of Degner 2. So the attrition here is looking like it could be quite high. So, I mean, again, I've had a couple of instances where easily I could have binned it, and or if just even a loss of time could have caused me loss of positions or points. I've been quite lucky that it hasn't really. So again, it's a good reference, especially for this week. But if you can just survive, then actually could be some chance of some decent points. Right, so this is the final lap as I had thought from the lap before. So let's just again make sure we keep concentrating. Just not interested in doing a great lap, just a safe lap to finish up. Again, worried about Dunlop as normal, and out on our power is fine. Make sure we don't overcook it into the Degners. Didn't quite get the curb on the inside, but again we were slow enough because we were being a bit cautious not for it to be a problem. Same in Degner 2. Alright, so again let's just make sure that concentration doesn't drift off as we get to Spoon. Just the times I have had instance there, I've just been using the brake marker more like on the F1 car, and we need to brake a fair chunk earlier in this, not surprisingly. So I was a bit cautious that time, but that's what we want really, just to get us by for this last lap. And then just 130R, and then the chicane, the Casio triangle remains. Mario will be crossing the line any moment now, I think, so he's so far ahead, 25 seconds odd. And then just brake nice and early this time, down into second. Gentle, gentle, make sure you don't have any silly moments. And away, no big oversteer. Hurrah! Right, so I'm pretty happy with that then for first race of the week. Second position, yeah. Quite fortunate to be in there. Could have been fifth, fourth. Yeah, it could have been fourth. But so lucked into second really. But yeah, a couple of silly moments at Spoon really, wasn't it? Getting those couple of off tracks there. But otherwise, pretty happy with that for my first race really. Right. Congrats, Mario. Right. What interesting things, if any, do we have to look at on the replay? So we got left behind a bit at the start, didn't have anything particularly there, and then it would have been coming past Paolo at the run down to turn 1, and here we go. So Paolo, I think, was being quite cautious, like me, I guess, just wanting to make sure he finished the race. I didn't brake that early the first time, but certainly the second time he let me by. He, yeah, just decided just not to take any risk and just to make sure it's safe. Let's get another view from the outside. So yeah, no, he wasn't massively cautious initially on that first go, but yeah, good, all nice and clean, worked out pretty well. And then, so we got past him again a little bit later, but so he definitely backed off early just to let me go. I am curious to have a look and see where Saba got his damage. So is he ahead on this lap? Yes. Fast forward, fast forward. I'm guessing exit Degna 2, but I'm not really sure. And over Astro, and that was quite a good guess then. Hard into the wall on the exit of Degna 2. So easy to do. Just got, say, out on the Astro there, and too much damage, unfortunately, in to continue. Make sure we save the replay. So we have our picture-in-picture. Save. Done. So really then, I don't think there was anything else particularly to look at, was there? Because as I said, it was fairly quiet second half. It wasn't a massively action-packed first half either, I guess, but once Paolo had his bit of a moment at turn 1, that was certainly it. Right, let's have a look and see points if they've come up yet. Anyway, people might still be just finishing up, I guess, possibly. Continue. And they're up. Alright. 178. So yeah, not a massively strong field or anything, but 178 points I would certainly take, not just for the first race, but generally after the last couple of weeks I've not really been managing that even. Bit of bonus to iRacing that's been struggling recently. I've lost 300, 400 iRating in the last month or maybe a little bit longer. Safety rating wasn't particularly good, plus 0.03. So cool, so that's Suzuka in the GT Challenge. So I was a bit happy with that at that time. Still, you know, little examples of where I do need to focus on this concentration, and obviously, you know, doing this maybe you could say takes some of that away, but if I'm talking about what I'm doing and what's around, then actually sometimes that can keep me drawn into the event and not let my mind wander talking about or thinking about other things. Anyway, so we shall see you again next week, I expect. Episode 7 will be from Phillip Island, hopefully. And then it'll be another 2 weeks until the next World Championship Series race, which is at Road America. Unfortunately, I'm not available there. We're going to be in Blackpool. And then hopefully for the rest of the season, I'm going to be available for each and every other World Championship race. And so perhaps we can find ourselves on a grid once or twice. And yeah, that'd just be a good place to start at least. Right, wrapping on a bit. See you guys. Thank you.